And we're starting off with AEW, and in less than 10 days, CM Punk will make his return to AEW programming as part of the premiere episode of AEW Collision in Chicago. We reported yesterday that there had been talks of Punk competing on the very first episode of AEW's Saturday show, and now his first match back has been confirmed. During AEW Dynamite, Tony Khan announced that the first Collision main event will be an explosive 6-man tag pitting Punk and FTR against Jay White, Juice Robinson, and Samoa Joe. White and Joe are two names who have been discussed as the first feud for Punk once he returns, and whatever happens, this main event will be one to watch on the first AEW Collision. For many fans, it's still somewhat shocking that Punk is being allowed to return given everything that transpired last September at All Out. After All Out, the vast majority of the AEW roster were against the idea of Punk being brought back, and some even threatened to walk out of the company if Punk returned. As previously reported, tempers have simmered since then, but things aren't all smiles and sunshine backstage in Tony Khan's promotion. As Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports, things have cooled off, but AEW has taken measures that should prevent talent from walking out of the company due to Punk. It wasn't stated what specific measures have been put in place, but we do know of at least one, that being the roster split between Dynamite and Collision, which will keep Punk away from those who have an issue with him. While Punk is going to return, Fightful reported that many wrestlers still have issues with the Chicago-made star, and time will tell if the measures in place can last. CM Punk will make his return to AEW in Chicago, where he will no doubt receive an ovation from the fans, but what about when the company is out of Punk's hometown? We don't know what kind of response the controversial star will receive outside of Chicago, but his presence alone is hardly moving the proverbial needle. As Dave Meltzer noted on Wrestling Observer Radio, the ticket sales for upcoming Collision episodes are simply bad, with the June 24th show in Toronto doing under 2,000 tickets. Not only is that a bad number, but it's made worse when you think that Toronto will be full of wrestling fans for the Forbidden Door show the next night, and yet Collision is seriously struggling. The June 29th taping of Collision is doing even worse, with the Hamilton, Ontario show selling just 700 tickets so far, and Meltzer said that this Canadian tour is expected to be very, very tough for AEW. Meltzer suggested that hosting shows in the summer in Canada is not a smart move, as the cities AEW will tour usually have harsh weather, but with the sun coming out, families will be heading out of towns and going on vacation. On social media, fans poked fun at Punk not being the needle mover AEW and Tony Khan really need him to be, with one stating it's time AEW brings in the real best in the world, Shane McMahon. Fans joked that only with Shane's arrival does AEW have a chance of eclipsing WWE, while one said that Punk versus Shane would be a battle to see which person got injured first. After all the work that's gone into AEW Collision, the show needs to be a success, but even with CM Punk, things aren't looking good for AEW's Saturday show. But what do you think of the news of AEW Collision's underperforming ticket sales? Is it a sign of things to come? Share your views in the comments. Later this month, AEW and New Japan will team up for their second Forbidden Door show, and the impressive card for the show is already coming together. Since the first Forbidden Door event, New Japan has created its own women's championship and division, with Mercedes Mone being the biggest female star in the company. Though fans were excited at the possibility of Mone competing at Forbidden Door, those dreams were dashed when she suffered an injury at NJPW Resurgence, but there had been plans for Mone to work Forbidden Door. According to Justin Barrasso of Sports Illustrated, sources close to Tony Khan confirmed that there were substantial discussions with Mone before her injury occurred. While Mone won't compete in Toronto later this month, the fact that the two sides were talking about her involvement is a good sign that she will appear in some form for AEW down the line. Any future plans for Mone in AEW should become clearer once she is cleared to wrestle again, and perhaps it could be in time for the equally anticipated All In show in London. Right now, though, Mone is dealing with either a broken ankle or a severe sprain, and whatever her plans in the ring may be, they'll have to wait on a full recovery first. During the SmackDown before WrestleMania 39, WWE officially reintroduced the LWO, which has been a runaway success with audiences around the world. The group, consisting of Santos Escobar, Cruz del Toro, Joaquin Wilde, Zelina Vega, and Rey Mysterio, often dominates WWE's merchandise sales, but this wealth of success nearly didn't happen. Speaking on Out of Character, Escobar revealed that Triple H initially turned down the idea of the revival of the LWO and said no as soon as the idea was pitched. The game's reasoning was that he wanted fans to see Santos Escobar as himself, not as just a remake of an old faction, and Escobar admitted that Triple H was right. Escobar said that it was important for fans to get to know him first, and while the LWO wasn't formed, Escobar did get his Legado del Fantasma faction. It wouldn't be until years later that Triple H would approve the idea for the LWO, which is clearly proven to be the right choice, and the sky's the limit for the popular faction on the main roster. When Ryback left WWE in 2016, the big guy engaged in a fierce and bitter legal dispute with the promotion over the use of the Ryback name. It wasn't long after his departure that Ryback was involved in a medical malpractice lawsuit against WWE, one that, according to Ryback, he was advised against being a part of. During a recent live stream, Ryback stated that he was told if he followed through with a malpractice lawsuit against WWE, that his career would be over. Ryback added that this information was told to him off the record, but that didn't stop him from telling those watching his live stream, and that's not all he had to say. As we've seen in the 7 years since leaving WWE, Ryback has had no problem bringing up Vince McMahon, even going as far as to call the executive chairman a pimp. On his recent stream, Ryback claimed that he was asked by WWE to stop bringing up McMahon during the lawsuit over the Ryback name that went on for years. Ryback made it clear that because WWE had asked him to stop, he decided to bring up Vince McMahon more, simply because it bothers them. While Vince McMahon is hardly a beloved figure in wrestling, many felt that Ryback went way too far when McMahon's 101-year-old mother died, and he decided to use her in another scathing post about WWE. In a tweet that was later deleted, Ryback said that McMahon's mother, Vicky Askew, was a whore and took pleasure in speaking about Vince's inevitable passing, saying that the clock is ticking, old man. During his media stream, Ryback justified his crass comments, saying that he wanted to hurt you emotionally if that's the game you're gonna play. Ryback also said that he apologized for his comments about Vicky Askew and said that she was a sweet woman when they met, which makes his initial comments about her seem even worse. Ryback is often teased returning to wrestling, but has yet to do so, and while he finally has control over the Ryback name, the big guy did himself no favors with his comments in his legal battle with WWE. But what do you think of all that has transpired between WWE and Ryback? Was the big guy vindicated with his trademark battle win, or has he done his own career more harm than good with his comments? Share your views in our comments. During its relaunch in 2017, the Latin American Exchange became a popular faction in Impact Wrestling, and at the time included Conan, Homicide, Santana, Ortiz, and Diamante. When Santana and Ortiz ended their time with Impact in August 2019 to commit to AEW, LAX disbanded, but the group could be about to make a reunion. During an appearance on Captain's Corner, Diamante reminisced about her time in LAX and said that she felt like a kid in a candy store working with so many veterans. When asked about a reunion, Diamante said that she is working on it and added that LAX is too good not to be brought back to wrestling television. We will have to see if an LAX reunion is possible, but with the name likely being owned by Impact Wrestling, they might have control of that situation. Then again, AEW's Tony Khan has the resources to purchase the LAX name from Impact if needed, and we're sure the reunion of the faction in the All Elite promotion would be well received. LAX was associated with Impact before 2017 and has always been a hit with fans, so it's no wonder why Diamante wants to make the faction work once again in the future. Next year, the broadcast rights for Raw, NXT, and SmackDown will expire, and WWE will either need to lock in new deals with the USA Network and Fox, or find new homes for their shows. With the Endeavor deal also in the works, WWE could be a very different company by the end of next year, and could look very different as well. Recently, Ringside News asked around about the idea of WWE building new television sets, something that has been rumored for some time, and we're told that with the merger and TV rights deals, everything like that is under review. Obviously, it's too early to say whether new sets and designs to Raw or SmackDown will be part of these new media deals, but it is a possibility, and fans may be watching a much different looking product by the end of the year. Next year, Seth Rollins will make his MCU debut in the upcoming Captain America 4 film, which this week got a brand new name. Previously, the film had been titled Captain America: New World Order, a name WWE fans found amusing given the low possibility of the iconic faction appearing in the film. Now the film will be called Captain America: Brave New World, and on Twitter, fans expressed their disappointment over the name change. Some even suggested that all of the NWO jokes from fans caused Marvel to change the name, and one fan joked that the Star-Spangled Superhero fears the WCW faction. Whatever the reason for the name change, Captain America: Brave New World will be a big deal, and will you be watching Rollins make his MCU debut next year in the cinema? For decades, the Make-A-Wish Foundation has made dreams come true for young people facing life-threatening or terminal battles, but nobody works harder than John Cena. Cena holds the record for the most wishes granted by a considerable margin, but we only know of his hard work thanks to a discussion between Cena and Vince McMahon. Speaking on the Tetragrammation podcast, Paul Heyman spoke highly of Cena's work with Make-A-Wish and revealed that Cena didn't want to make his work public. He said, "I don't have the words to convey the admiration I have for John Cena as a human being. There had to come a point in time where Vince had to sit down with John and say, 'You need to let me go public with these Make-A-Wish visits. You have to. You know you're hurting Make-A-Wish by not allowing me to do that, because if people understood how much of your time you give to Make-A-Wish and to these kids, they'll be inclined to contribute. They'll be inclined to get involved. You will help them if you allow this,' because Cena never wanted to exploit it. He never wanted publicity for it. He never wanted recognition for it. He wanted to just do it. That's a hero." At WrestleMania 39, Cena granted even more wishes when he gave some young fans the chance to be a part of his entrance in an incredibly touching moment at SoFi Stadium. Cena doesn't wrestle as much as he once did, but he is still an inspiration to countless young fans, and he remains focused on working as much with Make-A-Wish as he possibly can. And we're ending today with Roman Reigns, who has been the top name in WWE for some time now, and has unsurprisingly been featured on countless promotional materials. This week, Reigns, alongside Paul Heyman, appeared in NBC's Save the Date commercial for the 2024 Summer Olympics in Paris, and shared the commercial with music icon Dolly Parton and Kevin from the Minions. In the commercial, Heyman vowed that Reigns would defend his undisputed WWE Universal Championship against anyone at any time, with Reigns clarifying that he won't be next July for the Olympics. If Reigns is still the undisputed WWE Universal Champion in 15 months' time, odds are he will defend his title, but his appearance in this video made for a fun moment and shows just how big NBC sees the head of the table.